different now. For man holds in his mortal hand the power to abolish all forms of human poverty and all forms of human life.
Begins a very special time of the year for us. It's the time of peace and reflection. One thing we should all be thankful for is that we live in America, where we have the freedom to change things and the opportunity to grow.
I, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, do solemnly swear
That you will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States
And will, to the best of your ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Oh, it's just Brittany. Where are you? Where'd you go? Turn your camera back on. All right, there it is. Okay, welcome to the show. I'm Andreas. I'm here with my buddy Nathan. We call him Amoro because he's kind of like armor and love. And then this is Brittany. Brittany, she's a volcanologist and a studier of things all Tartarian. And this episode of Red Eye, because it's kind of late, is about how Tartaria is rising again. I think that's what it's going to be about, and also what it means for you and me. But Nathan, how are you? How are you doing?
Good morning, good evening, and hello. I'm good. It's been a while. I mean, it's been since last September.
Yeah, we did the Vice thing, and then yeah. Brittany, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. It's nice to see Nathan again. Last time I saw Nathan, we were in a cave.
We were in a cave. That's true.
It was pretty crazy.
So also, guys, let us know how the echo, if there's an echo or anything. So we're working on this like a new setup. So, I'll be checking chat for that. I will also be posting the link to this in the Discord, because the Discord has been fixed up a bunch, and it's probably time to mention it again. Usually we've been talking about the Matrix exclusively, and I still say, hey, if you want to do the hardcore data, this is why we have the Element server in the Matrix here, and you can link to there. But Tartaria Hall exists. People are using it. There's a lot of chat happening here. There's a lot of members. We have a whole bunch of different groups with bright colors. The X's from the olden days. And then also Armoro is back. We've got the recognizers, kind of what once was the remembrancers. There's a little bit of reboot going on here. You know what I mean? It's kind of nice. So, oh yeah, right. That's right. So I'll take this link here and I'll put it there and say, hey, here. And that's how it goes. And pretty soon, you guys, this radio chat, it's going to be like that too. So not too bad. But Nathan, you had some guy you wanted to look at, Parker Edmondson. You want to tell us about that?
Dive right in.
Well, I mean, we can. It's how I do things these days.
Jeez.
But if you want, we can.
I wanted to
breath.
actually thank you for this.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Here, yeah. Let me
Andreas.
spotlight you.
Oh.
Yeah. So we 3D scanned Brittany, at least her face.
I guess it's
the hard part is getting the plastic out from behind the ponytail. That is a lot more difficult than you'd think.
Yeah, it's a work in progress, and it's just a little one, but thank you.
Yeah, right. Like 3D scanning is pretty legit. I mean, the main thing with 3D scanning though is we want to do the drone LiDAR with 3D scanning and start getting more maps of different places. So it's interesting because the same technology is being used for small objects, and trying to stitch together a 3-dimensional object is pretty similar to trying to map a bunch of 3-dimensional objects. I don't know. But wait, do you want to talk about Parker Edmondson, or are we?
Of course I do.
Yes, jump on.
All right. I'm kind of curious.
People are probably ready.
Well, let me just
like a little.
So first things first, before you click anything, free energy,
right,
is just that. It's free. This gentleman has been building things in his backyard and in his shed for a couple of years. Been following him for a little while, but he's starting to catch some buzz because pretty recently he was deleted off of TikTok, which is where he put almost everything, daily updates. He is an 1880s file Is that how you would say it? He's straight out of the turn of the century. As
He's
you
an
can see by his
Ochentaphile?
videos.
Okay.
There we go. But Parker has devoted himself to understanding energy. And this gentleman sent energy with his Tesla transmitter hundreds of miles to a few of his friends.
Wow.
And
That's cool.
yeah, he's worth taking a look at because he's doing all the things that most of us think we know.
Interesting. So his idea of sending free energy, has he gotten in any trouble, or is he getting a lot of popularity
Got
from it, or
deleted, sounds like
he just got
off
deleted?
TikTok.
He just got
But
just destroyed. And they they give the garbage answers. We have to verify your age, so your account's suspended, all that.
Oh, because he's
I
He
went
started a
through
couple
that.
new accounts, and it's all bogus. But yeah, this gentleman, play one of his videos. He sounds like Cleveland Brown.
I want to see here if they can you hear that? I can't even hear it. I'm not
Nope.
sure if the sound's going through.
maybe it's on your video.
It might be unable to. I might not be able to get the sound through the
Headphones, audio.
sharing quality. I'm not sure if that'll work. I don't know.
Well, maybe if people are watching, they can hear.
Yeah,
it
let me
normally.
see if I'll pull it out. I'll see if I can do share sound. Okay.
Oh,
How's that? You hear now?
video.
yeah.
I'm going
There we
to
go.
show you how to build a receiver coil from start to finish, all in one video. So here are the materials you will need. You will need at least 1,464.2857 feet of wire. I recommend buying 6,290 feet of
I told you he
26
sounds like
gauge magnet
Cleveland.
wire on eBay because it is $58.
This guy's awesome.
That's the best deal. You will
That's the
also
best
need at least 395 feet of 14 AWG magnet wire. You will also need a coil form. I use a quick tube from the Home Depot, and the circumference of it is 25 inches. So the diameter is 8 inches. You will also need at least one 3-volt 20 milliamp LED. I recommend getting a different color besides white because you can see different colors better. You will also need two 1N4007 diodes. And you will need sandpaper. The total cost of all the materials should not exceed $140 if you build a coil exactly like mine.
That's pretty sweet. I mean, this is good.
Exactly. Once you have measured your circumference of your coil form in inches, divide this number by your circumference to get the amount of turns you will need of number 26 wire for the primary. Once you have wound your primary to a quarter of the wavelength of 168 kilohertz, you will want to tune your primary to resonate at 168 kilohertz. So to tune your primary to resonate at 168 kilohertz, you will need an oscilloscope. You will also need some sort of a metal object. I recommend using an empty soda can if you don't have a toroid like this. And then you'll want to connect the ground on your oscilloscope lead to one side of a 4 kilo ohm resistor. And you will want to connect a 1N34A diode with the line on the diode facing the metal can or a toroid, whatever you use. And then you'll want to set your oscilloscope probe to 1x. Also on the ground lead of the oscilloscope probe, you'll want to ground this to an earth ground. You will also need a signal generator capable of generating up to 20 volts, and you will need it to be able to generate a sine wave.
This is epic. So
Yeah,
you
this
could
is-
actually build all this stuff. This is actually legit.
He does this. In the chat, in the Zoom chat, I gave you another link where he shows off his magnifying transmitter in his backyard. This is
Oh.
the device he uses to send free electricity.
Okay, today I will be showing you the
I
magnifying
remember like the
transmitter.
can.
Say it again.
It reminds me of like the can and the shoestring and the.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
also
The old
he's also
school
got
way
wireless
with the
electricity in his backyard
mods.
too.
Desk. Okay, so I'm using the Equidrive arrangement for the primary coil
Look at those
or tank
capacitors.
circuit.
Wow.
And so I have
Oh, and they're all
five
submerged,
14
too.
nanofarad capacitors on this side and five 14 nanofarad capacitors on that side of the
Wow.
primary coil.
Using brewer style capacity.
I believe this
That's
motor
amazing.
that spins the rotary spark gap is 3,000 RPM. The spark gap wheel has 16 points on it. Here are the ratings of the transformer.
It's a pretty short video, so it's good.
And each turn around the extra coil is 12.56 feet. There are almost 18 turns on the secondary coil and 100 turns on the extra coil.
Wow.
The sphere on the top is 20 inches in diameter. That is the spark gap that is at the nodal point of the secondary, where it goes into the extra coil. Okay, first I'm going to throw the switch for the rotary spark gap, and then I will throw the main switch.
Off your head. So, wow.
What about people in the
Guys, it's super loud.
Turn that down a bit.
They're done?
Holy cow.
So while he's
Okay,
doing
so
this,
All right, I'm really
Okay,
sorry for
hold
anybody
on.
that was like
Anybody
as
lost
loud.
their hearing?
Yeah, I should have known.
And also,
so what he
Whoa.
does, he's got a group of friends, and they were interested in what he was doing, and they were doing their own experiments as well. And so he will tell them the frequency and tell them the time of day, and they tune their receivers to his transmitter. And some of these guys are a few hundred miles away, and they receive free energy from him. And it's just
like a pulse, or how
it's just like
much?
turning on sci-fi at 9 p.m. every Friday to watch Farscape.
Just
Only you turn on your receiver every Tuesday or Thursday at 7 p.m. and you get 1 hour of free energy from this guy who conducts free energy. That's it.
like
There's your
it's like you get
electricity.
an hour. Is it mapped out?
Well, he only
much
runs
they're
it
getting,
for
or-
he only runs it for about an hour or two.
Do they have a time lapse video of him setting that up in his yard?
His
Or does he
old
do that
videos all
alone?
have that stuff. He did it
That's
alone.
sweet, because it's
Wow.
like
And
You
how's
can
how
build
much-
this with boards and wires
Mhm.
and bins and bottles in your backyard, and it functions, and they
Where-
shut his ass down.
Where's his power coming from? What was he
Inappropriate
taking the
content.
power from other people and wirelessly distributing
This-
it?
it looked like it was just air charge, like the ether. But
Man, because also like the FCC
Um,
could get involved, I guess.
was he tuning
Well,
into
actually,
a frequency like ultra?
Well, he
high
pulls it from the ground.
frequencies?
He's not
Oh,
grid
yeah.
tied with that thing.
So that's
So that's what the capacitors are for. He stores naturally charged electricity and then transmits it.
Hmm. What are the laws?
Is
We
that
gotta
like
look
a
Oh,
into
the
that.
laws.
continuous,
So, okay, the
perpetual
laws.
motor
In the 1950s,
as well?
late 40s, early 50s, there were a ton of patents on stealing energy through the natural media, which is why you can't harvest a radio signal for energy, and you can't basically you can't do pirate radio stuff. And they did that because people like Parker could do this.
Mm.
They had the scientists that wrote the ultra high frequency book to everyone to be where they were how to dig these little receivers that were perpetual motors in the ground that would pick up on radio frequencies. And
Oh,
if
yeah.
there was like snow over them, it didn't matter. They had done the tests, but the only way I even read about it was because it was like a science symposium, and they were writing to all the engineers like, this is your information, you do with it what you will. We are not allowed to tell anybody else but this
Yeah.
group. So
It's a trick.
that sounds related to this.
So they actually have methods to detect the collection of ambient energy through the natural medium, and they'll come to your house and shut you down.
That's why
yeah.
they're not doing it.
I mean, that makes sense
So
because like the FCC, they get involved with anybody using wireless radio at all. You know, so it doesn't have
Exactly.
to be just communications. It could be expansion of energy. And they've got those laws. I think we just looked at Title 47 talking about the extension of energy laws. So they've been trying to
But-
monopolize UHF frequency up until 2015 when they extended
But let's
it.
say now, is there anything that's going to cause that to have like a boost and cause a fire? Like,
that's
Or is this
they'll-
ground
they'll
energy?
state
That's
a
more what
bunch
you
of
do,
that.
right? Yeah.
They use
not
a bunch
really.
of those
That's the
ideas to push to
BS.
the public that you shouldn't do it. They say you shouldn't collect rainwater if you live in a city
True.
because you could get your whole neighborhood sick. It's the same sort of stuff.
Hmm.
tell you fluoride's safe because it's in the water too.
So
Roll-
basically, you're not allowed to do this. You can build a machine and tune it into a radio station
Mhm.
and turn those radio waves into energy.
Correct.
And they, as soon as they realized that they were sending free energy through the radio, they made laws against it. And it's actually, it's codes and regulations. It's not laws.
I mean, it's interesting because they do sell these little chips and things. I mean, they're harder to get, I guess, in the United States. There are some weird laws about these. I remember.
You can
So,
build
about
that.
what does that mean?
Yeah.
Would you be able to rewire that to bounce back and you somehow receive the energy from your car radio to operate
Of
your
course.
car?
Yeah.
I
Anything
mean,
through the
that
natural
seems to
media.
make sense. And then
So-
it'd be a continual motor or just
You can
Because there's a
take a bunch of
constant frequency.
free-made ones already. If you know how to do the motherboard and little capacitor part. I saw a guy that had been taking anti-theft tags and stacking those as fractal antennas onto larger board surfaces. So there's some pretty creative ways they're doing it.
and they're legitimate.
Well, yeah, fractal antennas are a great source of
But how
A great
long are
source
they
of-
going to power? Just
Huh?
as long as that frequency's there. So forever. Or how big of a item can it power? Can it power a TV? Can it power all
Well,
your lights?
it's you. A lot of people think of electricity as it goes so far in, like you absorb X amount and you use X amount, but the real key to it is absorbing X amount over a period of time and having that in capacitance to use whenever you want. Hence all of Parker's saltwater capacitors in the jugs over there. So even if you're just sucking in a trickle at a time, if you have the power to hold it, then you can do what you want.
Correct.
Now, fractal antennas like this are neat, but you can stick those on a board. They don't
Mhm.
need to be 3D or up in the air. You can actually make a fractal antenna like a star fort floor pattern
Mhm.
in your yard.
Or even on a microchip. Like here's an
Yes.
example. Here's a PCB board with a fractal antenna.
That's the famous way most people know them, but I mean, we've got these all over the world. And some of them, yes, I believe are in architecture.
Man, so let's look at
Radio energy.
what about
radio frequency.
Morocco, silver, mosaic, fractal. Because I've seen some of this also where they've got in the floors and things, they've got silver in some of the grout in
Yes.
between some of the ceramics, which every hippie will tell you has high resonance, but so will engineers.
Well,
And this-
they used to weave silver into those bifurcated flags at the top of poles on onion domes. That's the same kind of stuff we're looking at.
Hmm. Interesting.
Bifurcated flags are like flags with 2 points and a little V cut out of the butt end of them.
Oh, right.
Like a snake tongue.
Yes.
Right, the triangle flags.
Mhm.
Interesting. So, I mean, yeah, it's interesting you could build free energy pattern systems, but that they already make the stuff for it. What was the thing I was just reading here that says these devices are coming out? They can get power for laptops down to quartz oscillators. Energy harvesting, and this is 2016. Energy harvesting has moved solidly out of the lab and into the market, and it will be key to enabling the ambitious projections for the number of projects of future Internet of Things devices and wearable technologies expected to grow significantly next year. So why aren't we seeing more of this though? Why aren't we seeing more of these energy harvesting watches? Why is the
Oh, we're
iWatch
seeing a
or
lot of
Apple
these.
Watch?
When they talk about nanotechnology, and this is one step beyond the wearable Profusa chip, self-powering nanotechnology actually powers itself inside of your bloodstream on your own vibrations, which is really crazy. Your own bioelectric current can power it. Maybe I can find the link for you.
Nathan, have you heard of those diamond nuclear batteries that can last up to like 2,000 years that they're coming out with?
Oh, the Betavoltaics, right?
Whatever they're called. Pretty nuts. So
Yeah,
I don't know if
and-
you had, those are like another new tech that's long lasting.
Show me.
What was the one
That's-
that we were looking at? Do you remember the name of it? It was the Tesla's one, maybe
Are you talking about?
the Betavoltaic battery. So Tesla is exploring building a lithium refining plant in Texas because they invested in this smaller company that makes Betavoltaic batteries. What is the name of that little company they bought? Forget the name, but it can charge for like 10,000 years. Let's do nano.
This is
Nano
different
energy
than the
storage
diamond
materials.
uranium. I thought it was the other ones.
Uranium.
I thought you were talking about Nathan's. What he's talking about here.
Elaborate on what you mean. Brittany, go ahead. What do you mean?
No, I'm totally went into sidetrack about these batteries because you were talking about long
I can't
lasting.
remember where that article
charge.
is on the thing. I don't know.
Okay. Anyway, we'll show you that later. But you were
Look for
talking
it.
about the capacity of this type of energy harvesting. And then I changed it to the battery thing just to see if Nathan
Here, I can find here's my Betavoltaics article. I don't know how old this article is though, because I had this from a long time ago. But Betavoltaic, yeah, 2003.
Oh
But Tim
wow.
Ventura, who's a friend, and we're gonna do a video with soon. That's funny. I forgot he
Wow.
wrote this, but so everyone's been into Betavoltaics for a long time. End to end, you've got charging in the battery itself because the salts have uranium, and when they shake, essentially they make small chemical reactions which charge the battery. So as the thing moves around, it releases electricity or releases radio energy that gets captured again by supercapacitors, and that charges the thing. This is a fun. Okay, so Merlin's nuclear battery does more than just ring. Okay, let's see. Merlin explains to me that the device must be primed initially by being connected to the flyback transformer after external power has been applied and a static charge initiated through the special control circuits running after the isotope chamber. The isotope becomes self-sustaining for a period of time, a steady stream of high voltage electrons. Merlin's device and generates its own electricity as the decay rate of the Americum 241 accelerates and releases a steady stream of high voltage electrons. Merlin's device isn't perfect though. It won't self-power indefinitely after it's been initially reactivated. I put on the oscilloscope a while back, he said, and it basically rings. It doesn't generate enough electricity to complete self-power, and that's mostly because of the inefficiencies in the feedback circuits. This is 2003, but we've
they
come a
fixed
long
that
way.
problem a long time ago.
And
Actually,
and what they're doing, and by 2016, what they've been doing is they've been using uranium salts. I just wish I could find the dang article.
well, the new tech functions
Diamond
much as
battery.
a piezoelectric circuit inside of the human body, so you power it just by being alive.
Interesting.
I'll find it. Hold on.
So they have those malls that take the steps.
Here's, I
You're
think, what
walking
Brittany's
steps and
article
using
is when you're talking
energy.
about the diamond battery made of nuclear waste.
Yeah, you already
Yes.
talked about this. I
Yeah.
just.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting, but this is 2016 as well. So it's funny. Like I keep finding the older articles for whatever reason. I just found some new information about this. Where did I find it before and why is it so hard? Let me go to any time within the past month and see what we've got there 8 days ago. No, that says 2016 though. That's very strange.
Those are republished.
Maybe they're just being
There was
reminded by it.
something recently about it. Phase 2 diamond 5 days ago.
Diamond
Phase 2
drilling.
diamond. Oh,
It's
diamond drilling.
drilling.
Sorry. Anyway.
Uranium sector. I don't know.
Anyway, I was just saying that seems like a pretty huge leap.
High
From the,
accuracy vehicle battery
Duracell
monitor. No,
AA's.
again with a quantum.
Will we be
sensors.
able to use those in like your appliances or like it'd be for appliances and whatnot, but like kids' toys, those batteries?
Yeah, I mean, so that's the idea is that it's not
Duracell
harmful
Energizer
or
are
anything like
out
that.
Forever.
But I mean, so there's so many other ways of getting electricity. Like, so Nathan's right. You can get electricity right from the body, but
Mhm.
also there's radio. So there's all the radio ambient energy that you can charge your RFID.
Kinetic
All the RFID chips,
energy.
those RFID chips don't have onboard batteries. They get pinged by an EMF. And then when that hits it, it reflects. It goes, oh, and then 1, right? Because 1 and 0 like reflects it, it absorbs it, and then it bounces back whatever data has been stored there. So I mean, there's already kind of ambiguous energy.
You could exercise and be able to store that energy like on a treadmill or bicycle. Do they have that yet where you can store your own like
I mean, you can
energy
definitely
for power,
store
or is it
treadmill
only-
energy because treadmill energy is on a spinning thing, and they have gears and things like that. So there are gyms that are that
Because that would
charge.
motivate people if they'd save money on their
No,
bills by like
no, that
running
is a
or
trap.
biking.
Yeah.
I
do
would
you
run
remember-
all day. I'd be like $0.
Do you remember Black
Saving
Mirror
money.
season
Right.
1?
Oh, is
They
there an
had-
episode on that?
So Black Mirror season 1 had this really good episode. Most of the others are garbage, but it's called 5 million credits.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in this,
I
the
saw
poor and the
that.
destitute are forced into working on a treadmill or basically a bike, and
the best episode.
they harvest energy from these guys. However, the other plot line involves this little gentleman here being original and stating that he is dissatisfied with his life, waking a bunch of people up to it. And what does he do in the end of this? He takes the money from the corporation to keep pretending to be this individual, and he is their pet. So in essence, his initial idea is co-opted to keep people in the system. But what do they do in here? They harvest everyone's energy and keep them inside a television on their time off.
Right.
It's
It's to
the
pay
perfect-
for freedom from commercials.
Oh yeah, it's the perfect consumer-driven utopia.
I'm just saying, I need an incentive to exercise, and that might be one thing. But
I
yeah,
mean, you got to just avoid.
I'm teasing.
You gotta avoid the whole idea of energy costs. I think that's the thing that we were talking about. Carbon tax
True. If
credits.
you can make it
energy
free,
costs,
then it's
like free
there isn't
energy
some energy.
harvesting. Is anybody doing it in the news? Energy harvesting hackaday 2 days ago. Human power, past and future. We will assume you've seen the Matrix from and after all, the surprise at the end was that humans were being used as human batteries. That wasn't the surprise at the end. That was like at the very beginning of the movie. A civilization of intelligent machines, but aside from just putting out some of heat, the idea like piezoelectrics are important. The idea does have some precedent. After all, humans power machines like mills, sewing machines, and pumps for centuries before they were good alternatives. See, this is weird. Instead of giving like Dick Cheney an electric heart, this is all about using you to power robots. But early machines use hand cranks, tread wheels, treadles, and even pedal power to harness energy from humans. Consider, for example, an ancient galley ship with many oarsmen providing an engine. This wasn't a great use of human power. An oarsman on a galley used his arms and back, but didn't use much of his legs. The legs, though, have much larger muscles and are often stronger.
That's
pedal
silly.
boat-
Every rower has thick ass legs.
right, it's
Sorry,
true.
rowing is
Isn't it
one of
pushing
the
against
full
the
body
legs?
exercises. So that's
Nathan likes to look at
I also want to
rowers.
know what a treadle is.
Yeah, what's a
treadle.
treadle. All right.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Treadle,
I don't
treadle,
know. what
treadle.
I can't
I made it
picture
out of
it in
treadle.
my
Oh, the
mind.
pedal treadle. Yeah,
What?
yeah.
That's
No, that
what?
tracks. So a
it's the
treadle
foot
is
pump.
Yeah,
it's a
foot
runs a
pump.
circle.
right.
Oh, that's a
And you use it for
treadle
a treadle. All right.
thingy-majig.
Because you tread on it, and then that way you can do sewing.
Because that's
or
a sewing
ceramics,
machine.
or
Is the other thing
ceramics.
I was going to say.
Ceramics.
I wonder how many children can identify that. or
There's
young
a
adults.
ceramic treadle, the pump. All right, that tracks. So, but there's more power. What are they saying now? Prison power. Ooh, this was the case back in Victorian England, where prisoners were sentenced to hard labor were made to run on treadmills as a form of punishment. In 1818, it was decided that prisoners sentenced to hard labor should have to labor all the time. So they're put on treadmills that did nothing. There were also crank machines that were there, just what they sound like, a machine that would crank and do nothing. By 1895, there were 39 treadmills and 29 cranks in use around England. Some prisons eventually adopted the waste labor to mill grain or pump water, but many were just grinding the wind, serving no purpose but to punish the inmate. Yeah, see, this is what it looks like we're headed towards if you're going to get the treadmill. The United States also toyed with penal treadmills around 1822, but they were never very popular. Typically, these treadmills were set up as wheel configured as endless staircases and had partitions to prevent prisoners from communicating with adjacent prisoners. A 15-minute stint on the wheel earned a 5-minute break, and this went on for up to 6 hours a day. Since the rise of the electric motors, not to mention changing conditions in prisons, there hasn't been much interest in using humans to power machines. pedaling or using a treadmill today is likely to be for exercise or pleasure and not to provide power. What's worse is that when a modern machine does try to harvest manual energy, it usually does so to generate electricity, which is typically not a very efficient thing to do. Of course, sometimes you really need electricity. For example, a crank flashlight, phone charger, or emergency radio needs electricity. But you were trying to, say, pump water, you were better off using the energy directly to do the work than generating electricity and then the task of tasking an electric motor to do the job, to get the job done. What tomorrow may bring, however, we are seeing a trend lately of electronics that use less and less power. Even tiny watch batteries now last as long as their shelf life, thanks to devices that have great power economy and improved battery management systems. As devices sip less power, opportunities to power them from the human body increases. Granted, the N-Power PEG seems to have vanished. I suppose that's the some sort of power backpack, I guess. A backpack that's charged by you bouncing. Okay, I get it.
I mean,
for
kinetic
athletes.
charging, unless you have the capacitor, nothing you do matters. The power will not stay. Most of the electricity that we lose in grids worldwide is in transit between capacitors.
Mm-hmm.
From
So that's
source
where
to
this
capacitor,
most
capacitor
important
to
science
use.
is.
Medical devices that use blood sugar as fuel. Lobsters to a pacemaker powered by implantable biofuel cells. 2012. Enzyme-based biofuel cells implanted into living lobsters are designed as fluidic systems mimicking human blood circulation were used for powering electronic devices. 2 lobsters were implanted. Well, of course, lobsters. They're the first to, trans lobster. With implanted biofuel cells connected in series, were able to generate open circuit voltage, VOC, of up to 1.2 volts and had an electrical watch selected as a model electronic device. Was activated by the power extracted from the living battery. The fluidic system, composed of 5 cells filled with human serum solution connected in series, generated open circuit voltage of up to 3 volts and was able to power a pacemaker. Sustainable operation of the pacemaker was achieved with the system closely mimicking human physiological conditions, characteristics of normal and pathopsychological glucose concentrations with the fluidic rate typical for a blood circulation upon resting or performing physical exercises. While the cyborg lobsters demonstrates a model system with future possible military, homeland security, and environmental monitoring applications, the system activating a pacemaker presents practicality for biomedical applications. The first demonstration of the pacemaker activated by the physiologically produced electrical energy shows promise for future electronic implantable medical devices powered by electricity harvested from the human body.
So my question then, does that change, like, if the human gets electrocuted, like plugging something in and out and you get a little shock? If you have these things that are implanted, would you like start smoking, or does your blood get hotter, or would it impact you at all?
Dude, all I know is there's a Jordan Peterson meme here, and I want this t-shirt. Look what they're doing to this lobster, the circuits.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So does he?
I mean, you'd be losing weight, and you'd have to eat more. Is the important thing to remember.
That's all that would happen, because you'd be
Metabolism,
actually
yeah.
using your energy. They're not like implanting you with any thing that triggers that.
I mean, yeah, you could continue. So that's the thing. I guess you could eat more gnarly refined sugars and foods because
what are they
you could
using
digest it
as
more.
the
But your gut would get bigger too. Then.
Well, that's only one method, and the idea for that is it's like having a chemical battery, like the back.
This would be better than having diabetes, though. I mean, just having sugar, like digesting the sugar for another purpose. It could be done.
Here we go.
can you scroll back up again? Sorry.
Wait, I've got
Let me
this
see it.
right here. I'll post this in the chat. You should take a
It
look
powers
at
this
this.
watch with a
Don't
lobster.
understand.
Okay, wait. Let me go. Where did you want? You wanted to see?
I just
what now?
posted the link. Check it out.
Okay.
Cyborg lobster.
What you're looking at is pretty specific, but
Okay, so
they
now
I've got
we
a
can-
Is there an
general
implant?
overview.
Wait.
Oh,
This link
whoops.
here?
Please.
Hold on. No, sorry.
I knew it. Okay.
Wait a sec. The bad is mine.
I mean, there's a whole bunch.
Okay, here we go.
I
Here's
want to
a
understand the
Scientific
lobster
American article.
better.
Which
Did they
what?
put an implant in it?
Oh no, hold on. It's not working. Quit clicking that.
Okay,
This is the
now
same
we
video.
can use the
Copy.
Are you messing
Wait
with
a
me
sec.
now?
No, 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 no.
Boys?
Oh my gosh, it's not
It's the
working.
same link. You've got like a serious. You got to clear your copy.
Copy. There we
What's
go.
that called? Your
This
copy
should
paste?
work. This should work.
I don't get wrong.
Oh my gosh. Paste. No. What in the world? I'm gonna make this work. Okay, you're gonna go to scientificamerican.com or just go self-powered nanotech. And the Scientific American article toward the top of the list is a pretty good explanation.
Duly noted. Okay, so
Self-powered
nanotech.
And then the
Nano-sized
Scientific American
machines.
article.
Is this not it? This is it, right?
It's called How Self-Powered Nanotech Machines Work.
How
Oh,
self-powered nanotech machines work. Didn't find it. We'll try that again. There we go.
There you go.
Watchmakers in the 1920s who devised the self-winding wristwatch was onto a great idea, mechanically harvesting energy from the wearer's moving arms and putting it to work rewinding the watch spring. Today, we are beginning to create extremely small energy harvesters that can supply electrical power to the tiny world of nanoscale devices. Where things are measured in billions of a meter, we call these power plants nanogenerators. The ability to make power on a minuscule scale allows us to think of implantable biosensors that can continuously monitor a patient's blood glucose level, or autonomous strain sensors for structures such as bridges, or environmental sensors for detecting toxins, all running without the need for replacement batteries. Energy sources are desperately needed for nanorobotics, microelectromechanical systems, MEMS, homeland security, and even portable personal electronics. It is hard to imagine all the uses such infinitesimal generators may eventually find. Researchers are pursuing several different routes towards power generation on a minuscule level. Options include exploiting random vibrations or motions such as those near a roadway, temperature gradients, for example, ground temperature is fairly constant several meters below the surface, biochemistry, and external energy sources such as ultrasonic waves or even audible noises. A key advantage of nano devices and nanosystems is that they usually operate at a very low power level in the range of nanowatts in microwatts, bringing nanogenerators for powering them into the realm of the possible. Just think of the potential power sources of a human body that it generates: mechanical energy, heat energy, vibration energy, chemical energy in the form of glucose, and the hydraulic energy of the circulatory system. Converted into energy, just a small fraction of this energy could be sufficient to power many types of small devices. Power to the tiny.
So there we go.
Oh yeah. You want to go?
There we go.
Or?
Just as a quick summary, there's more than just kinetic power. There's chemical power. And that's a huge one that people overlook, but it's one of our oldest power sources. And so we've got the Lobsters, but now we've also got these nano generators. MEMS work well with dreads.
it's just those little generators. They worry me. So those are implanted
What about the
in the
MEMS
lobster.
Oh, that's more of a glucose. Wasn't it being powered by its glucose though? That was a different thing. So a MEM is like actually a generator. I mean, I guess I wouldn't consider a.
What stores it? You're saying the
Like-
most important thing about this energy is if you
I
have
would
to
call
store
it. I would call what they put in a lobster a fuel cell, because what it's doing is it's taking glucose and it's converting it into electricity. Whereas a MEM, like a microelectrum mechanical device, they also make NEMS, which are the nanoscopic version of those, which are chemical. They're built out of chemicals the same way. They're built out of amino acids. So I mean, those are literally springs, and so they're pulling, and the amount of tension is giving it a certain amount of energy, and so you have a stored amount of physical energy, of potential energy.
So you take the lobster.
It's not. That's different. The lobster has a
I
fuel
wanna
cell.
know
Okay, well we can go back
how
to that
that
article.
works. Just on a basic scale, because
I don't
there's
know
a
how
lot of
basic
complicated
powering
words.
lobster glucose is.
So you're taking it's like, is the lobster crawling around and you're taking that energy, or as the lobster's crawling around and his body's metabolizing?
Enzyme-based biofuel cells implanted into the living lobster or designed as fluid existence,
go.
mimicking human blood circulation.
Okay, well, and that part, what is that?
Enzymes-based biofuel cells.
Okay, so there's a
glucose,
biofuel
sugar.
cell that's chemical that's going to be implanted. Is that's what's storing the energy, and then that produces it and they use it somewhere else?
No, the
Whereas-
capacitor, the importance of a capacitor is more like for energy that we use. The nanotechnology, it's not really needed as such because they're using it instantly to power themselves.
So it's a self boost. It's not you're taking the power from it.
Yeah,
Okay.
the whole enzyme breakdown here is just it's eating sugars, making it into usable energy.
Okay. So it's not like they're talking about being able to implant something, take our energy that will somehow wirelessly be transmitted to
No, I mean, they're
some
kinda saying
super
that.
cell, like the laughing energy in Monsters Inc. say.
No, I mean,
Instead of
this is-
laughing,
They're saying, well, this is related.
walking and
No,
talking.
you've got
and,
gut fauna that can get energy, right? So you can take
Yeah.
enzymes from your gut that are digesting energy, getting ATPs out of food. So how's this work? Nope. The PDF. It's getting crazy. Okay.
For what?
ATP digestion.
That's adenosine triphosphate. It's the chemical that releases when you flex a muscle.
Mhm.
All right. And while I go to Cura, because I do think that they, to be honest, it's my Wikipedia these days. Somehow it's become that. ATP digestion. Let's look for some pretty pictures of it too, because I think that's important for people to
Going to
understand.
school
Because the
health.
big idea, I mean, biology
8th and 10th grade.
and
too.
digestion, we need to recap a little bit.
Okay.
So carbohydrates into glucose synthesis into pyruvate, and then you get an ATP out in there. There's like 52 ATPs that are produced in the cyclic acid cycle, and then out of that you have the aerobic metabolism that introduces high energy electrons, which again produces ATPs. And what does ATP stand for again?
Adenosine triphosphate. It's a specific group of triphosphates, 3 phosphates together in different combinations used for different things. ATP is most notably known in the fitness world because it's what gets released when you flex a muscle. It's what lets your muscles flex.
So I mean, this is a big aspect of the energy digestion, and you can do that with enzymes. So biomechanical enzyme energy. Let's just see what comes up if we do that. But energy and enzymes news. How the second law of thermodynamics applies to living organisms. First law says that energy cannot be created or destroyed. Second law says that in any energy conversion, some energy is wasted as heat. Right. Studies finds enzymes in the brain.
They're going to take that wasted heat energy and use it.
Well, you could keep the wasted heat from happening also.
Well, no machine is perfect. Everything
Right.
has waste. Everything has extra. And so they've created machines to both surveil and change us using our waste. That's the point of the whole thing. Using our own waste, they're going to track us, and they're going to change our brain chemistry.
Lovely.
They're going to use it to deliver drugs throughout the system. They figured out how to get it through lipase tissue, through adipose tissue, and through our blood-brain barrier.
Have you seen the fecal
This
biomarkers in inflammatory bowel disease? This was discovered by using these toilets that actually can measure your poop. It does like a sense of every time you go to the bathroom, it tells you how you're doing, which is kind of interesting because of that movie, The Madness of King George,
Oh, yeah.
where like he goes crazy. In true life, the king did go crazy. And so they had like every scientist and doctor in England trying to figure out what to do. And finally, they just had people looking at his poop. And then turned out, funny enough, like hundreds of years later, when they looked at the poop smear book, they figured that they did know what was wrong with him from that. So there is
This is
That
more
book is
like
actually just Rorschach blots, but they're all brown.
right. Well, no, they're different. That's the thing. They were different colors. He had like blue poo or something like that
Oh
because
my
of some weird thing that was going on.
okay. So back to science.
This is science.
I
though.
get it, but this is like your body and self-regulating and the ability for your heart to recognize something's wrong with it and adjust whatever, something you're whatever, digesting energy. This is a different level of like
course.
transhumanism than there's like a whole subnet of just brain in the neural link that would help you learn a language or be able to do karate. This is like another upgrade to the body.
Well, no,
And that
this is
sounds
just
Like
really
these kinds of
fine.
things.
You think so?
That
I think
sounds
this is
really
biology.
fine until they can shut you down.
Your body and your mind, or separately, they could keep your brain running and be like, let's just
Well, that's a whole other thought. Like,
mess
can you,
with,
could you, what's that called?
muscles.
You know, like where your gut can be your mind. So
Mhm.
if you cut the head off of a cockroach, how long can a cockroach live until it, so humans, how much of, if you remove the brain, how much could it continue running if it was replaced? How much would it take to keep a human running without a head? And I think that's coming too. You're gonna have to start expecting.
But keep the body running without a brain to run all the
Yeah.
parts.
Okay. So here's like a kind of a thought. So let's do a little transhumanist
Oh,
thing.
if the
Okay,
stomach like
because
took
I
over the
have a
rest of the body
very-
parts.
I have a very deep thought about this. By deep, I mean deep rabbit hole, not like it's a profound.
Let's say that, like, and you've
Both.
seen, actually, you know what the best example is RoboCop, because like that is.
I want to
literally
hear
the story.
Nathan's too.
Yeah, no, don't stop.
I love
Maybe I
RoboCop.
can
No.
wait on RoboCop if you want.
RoboCop's-
If yours is, you want to go first, go for it.
Okay. If you want to make a slave that can work, you make a dumb human. But what it seems like is, especially for the proponents of terrain theory, over germ theory, the ideas of autism and autism's slow creep into the majority of American life, using biotechnology and using gut fauna and vaccines, you can actually make a fully functional working human with a stunted brain, and highly functioning autistic and Asperger's children can still work the machines in the factories. In fact, most of them find IT jobs because they're incredibly analytical. It's a left brain thing. And if you'd like to look at how autism is such a left brain thing, Ian McGilchrist makes a book that I'm in love with. It's called The Master and His Emissary. And that's The Divided Brain and the Making of the Western World.
Interesting.
The reading is a bit dry. However, if you can get into it, amazing.
Wow.
Lane,
But the basic
McGilchrist.
idea, Ian McGilchrist is wonderful. He's a fellow of all souls in science and neuroscience, and also in literature. His newest book is called The Matter with Things, and it's too deep for me. However, my obsession with William Blake and Jason James Bickford led me to this guy. But go on with the gut-brain connection, because
And this is good.
fans
Yeah,
of terrain
because
theory.
this is something. So my mom used to actually be like, there's no link between vaccines and autism. And there's a bigger link between gut fauna and autism. And she's a doctor. So what that means is, at very least, she read a bunch of papers about gut fauna and autism, and that there was some decent enough data about that. Whereas I don't hear about that almost ever. You know what I mean? Like, even from the people that are talking about all the other possibilities about autism, gut fauna is a huge one. And we've connected gut fauna to all kinds of things, from parasites, Teratopsis nocula, and the connection Toxoplasma gondii with the cats. But there could be a number of different brain
if there's
connections.
breastfeeding related to with any type of autism link than with gut fauna and a mother's milk.
Well,
That'd be
there
interesting, 'cause
are all of
breast
these
milk does
connections.
defend.
But
Yeah.
is it ever one thing? What's the one reason someone's fat? I mean, is it rock stars, or
McDonald's.
is it pizza, or is it
McDonald's
yakisoba?
lost the lawsuit. It's their fault.
I think it's
a
because we're
ton
not.
of reasons.
Because robots aren't digesting enough of the glucose for us. That's the problem. They need to start digesting some of that fat. But many people with autism spectral disorders also experience unusual gastrointestinal inflammation. But thus far, scientists have not established whether and how those conditions might be linked. Now, Harvard Medical School and MIT researchers working with mouse models may have found the missing link. Infections during pregnancy can lead to high levels of inflammatory signaling molecule interleukin 17A, IL-17A, which is interesting. Also, I'm thinking about mice just because of the Disney thing. Do you think one of the things about Mickey Mouse is he's just ahead of his time because he was like experimented on before humans? Is that an underlying message? With
I like to think of Pinky in the Brain.
I do love Pinky in the Brain. They're wonderful, but they're more like lab mice because they're white. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know the deal with Mickey Mouse, which can not only affect brain development in the fetus, but can also alter the maternal microbiome in a way that primes the newborn's immune system for future inflammatory attacks. Bummer. In 4 studies beginning in 2016, which you can find out about here, like I'm not even making this up. Look, there you go. The Picower Institute. It's a crazy name.
Picower. No.
Picower. Oh, that makes
Picower.
sense. That tracks again. It has a Danish kind of vibe. Okay, it's a Danish study.
Then it's Pickover.
Dude,
The
Danes know how to pick over a study. So co-senior authors Gloria Choi of MIT and Yoon Hu, I'm not sure, of Harvard Medical School have traced how elevated IL-17A during pregnancy acts on neural receptors in a specific region of the fetal brain to alter circuit development, leading to autism-like behavioral symptoms in mouse models. The new research findings, which are described in the journal Immunity on December 7th, and we can also, again, we'll give a link to
you
this
said
here.
inflammation, right? Because that's also linked to.
Let me just start reminding you guys, if you're ever wondering
vaccinations,
where this stuff is,
which causes inflammation in the same region.
I'm just going to put this really quickly in the
By the
Discord
way.
in case you guys want to see these studies. You can find them in the Discord.
I need to know more specifically about the type of inflammation.
What do you say?
So,
Quiet. But
Well,
speak louder.
autism
Brittany's
and
interested
links
in
to
inflammation.
vaccination.
Ah, okay.
Well, I mean,
there's
it's-
inflammation that's associated with the vaccination, which is what's people suggest
I hope you're
can
just using
cause
the Latin root
autism
for
with the
cow.
vaccination.
Right. Be careful.
So-
You can't say stuff like that.
But
But
I'm saying suggest. I don't know.
yeah, you can't even say that.
It's all wrong. Didn't you put the
Right.
disclaimer before this that none of us believe any of
That
this
doesn't
stuff
help.
we're saying?
I'm pretty sure on YouTube. But it's okay. But here, let's go to the study that we did find. It says we've shown that IL-17A acts on the fetal brain, can induce autism-like behavioral phenotypes such as social deficit, said Choi, the Mark Hyman Jr. Career Development Associate Professor in the Picower Institute for Learning and Memory in the Department of Brain Cognitive Sciences at MIT. Now we are showing that the same IL-17A in mothers through changes in the microbiome community produce comorbid symptoms in the offspring, specifically a primed immune system. The researchers caution that while the study findings are yet to be confirmed in humans, they do offer a hint that central nervous and immune system problems in individuals with autism spectrum disorders share an environmental-driven maternal infection during pregnancy. There's been no mechanistic understanding of why patients with neurodevelopmental disorders have dysregulated immune systems, said Huh.
Did
Now,
the
I
mother
must
get a
say-
vaccine during that
Hold
time?
on.
I
I
think you can ask
absolutely
that.
have to say that
Mm.
the famous testimony by Dr. Palevsky. This is a 27-minute video. You can find it on BitChute and everything. Maybe not on YouTube anymore. One of the questions from his detractors was about whether or not we should instead be blaming food and poisons in food and environmental poisons for things like autism when it seemed like Palevsky was blaming vaccines. And Palevsky said that the food condition is very important. The environmental factors are very important. However, humans have filtration systems at every orifice. Every bit of you that touches the world has a filter before it reaches the blood and the brain. And vaccines are the one thing that are deliberately condensed and then put past every single one of those filters. And so these deserve attention, and they have not been given attention. They're the only thing that goes directly past the filter. So yes, it can be the poisons that we ingest and that we live in, but we can't discount the other. And that's as far as you can say without an instant live stream end.
And well, and with the vaccines, I wonder how I can say that.
That's it.
Just
It
the safety
it
studies
must be
too.
addressed. It must be
Yeah, I'll
addressed.
talk about it another time. There's safety studies. People
We have
should-
other platforms where we can be
That's
honest
true.
about
You
it.
know what? This is a thing that I'm going to mention. We're going to start doing a 2-parter thing where half of it's on YouTube and then we'll link immediately to Odyssey, or maybe we'll use like Sharkfin or whatever the heck it's called.
And the other
Rockfin.
one's Rockfin's actually great.
Everyone likes
but-
Rockfin. If they talk to me and they tell me,
I don't
use
know
it,
what
I'll-
Rockfin is.
Okay,
if
so
they talk to me
first off,
directly, Rockfin talk to me, I'll maybe use your thing instead
when
of
we
Odyssey.
do a part 2 on a different platform, I'll tell you what I really think. You guys know me. I am minding all the P's and Q's right now.
Yes,
Pints and quarts.
I think you're doing a very good job, Nathan.
Potions and quotients.
I've seen you uncensored.
But I mean, you know, it's an important subject. There's probably a way that you can at least just consider talking about, you know, environmental effects. I just think that probably I don't know. It's dangerous. What about AI? And so there
It's
was
all
my
poison.
RoboCop thing. We can get to
Oh,
that.
yeah.
That one's a thing we could probably get away with talking about. So gut brain, your gut would be the part of you that connects you. Check this out. Let me see if I can walk you through this. So let's say your brain is destroyed and somehow they keep your body, some of it. And, you know, now you've got,
Wait. Let's say that mercury stunts your neuron growth from early development. Then how would they keep your body going, Andreas?
I mean, so you'd have to have AI that runs. The thing is, AI starts taking over more and more of the tasks. Starting with a healthy human, it starts to assist a healthy human in 2026 until eventually by 2030s or less, it's able to replace all of these services that humans' minds are functioning on, and say, okay, well, this person's unable to facilitate themselves in this way, but we've scanned and been part of the network of computing that is the human body, this guy or that girl or this girl. And so we can just take the systems that we're running in that person and we've got them compiled from source. We have the source binaries understood. Then we can just add discernment to this person or add cognitive capacity to this person along the way. So there are going to be more and more of the human that's dysfunctional and more of that dysfunctional human replaced with hyperfunctionality from machines. And so let's take the memories. This is the thing where it's like you can't be the same person because you just have a digital copy of somebody's memories that you're, you know, it's not you, it's like a iPod with your memories on it. But the thing is, it's connected to your gut fauna. So all of a sudden, the question becomes a bit more complex because it does transcend you and it's a bigger thing because it has the feeling of being you, which comes from your gut, not from your mind, not from your brain anyway. So yeah, gut fauna. If you've ever seen Deep Space Nine, what's her name? Dax.
So does that work with drinking like probiotics? You want to always like one a day. How does that work with your gut fauna?
Well, you're supposed to be careful about drinking too much probiotics.
You don't want to be gone.
If you drink too much, you can actually
fauna.
have too strong of a metabolism and can eat healthy things.
Then you can't really think with your gut anymore. So you make bad decisions if you drink.
I mean,
too
no,
much.
you just have like a more like
kombucha.
there'd be specific kinds of biotics that would survive that, and then a lot of other things wouldn't, right?
Wait. Someone in the chat, Aramvorax, says RoboCop versus Johnny 5. Who wins?
Johnny 5 because he has a reason to live. Anybody else?
I guess that's it. I would say bring
Doesn't
Razorlips back.
RoboCop have a family?
RoboCop has a family, but he doesn't
girlfriend and
like
kid.
remember them very well. He's like lost his mind.
It
you know?
kind.
Lost
It's a
his
sad
compassion.
movie. It's really.
Yeah, I mean it's corporatism. It's like one of the best
I
movies
love that
about
movie, but it's
the future. But I mean, we're getting to that point where RoboCop won't be that big of a problem because our gut fauna can transcend that. And an entire community, arguably, we're going to start seeing this more and more. They're doing biofecal indexing. Harvard, Yale, Carnegie, John Hopkins. They're doing programs all over the world. We're going like, where's this Ethiopian Olympic runner from? Let's like check out the gut fauna of the village. And like, oh, look at this, like the people that live in this area in Japan that are living to be 120 all the time, they all have some similar gut fauna. They have something living in them. Interesting. So if you start cataloging that, indexing it, and then adding that to the human condition, like, yeah, you can extend the human condition, you can make it healthier, but also that affects the mind and the emotions and the decisions. A lot of the time, a community might be more than just themselves. They're what's in the community that's inside, growing in the humans.
Oh, certainly.
Wow.
And when it
Deep.
comes to future decision making, typically trauma writes the rules. Typically, childhood trauma writes the rules, and only a trauma greater than the previous has the ability to rewrite a hard written rule. And that's about a person's behavior and action. And 99% of your thought is subconscious anyway. So for you to even pretend like you have control of it, you know who had control of it? The people who raised you.
Well, maybe. I
that's
don't know if they
tough.
did either. Like,
Oh, they
pretty
did.
sure
They
my
just-
parents
they-
didn't have
some
as
of
much
us.
control over Silicon Valley as like they'd want to. You know what I mean? Like there were these news calls. I remember as a kid, my parents were telling me that in like '89, San Jose, Santa Clara County, they're like, keep your kids and old people inside because there's like, you know, a fire at the silicon wafer plant or whatever. There's all these chemicals that are out there. There's like acid rain, all of the horror stories about the environmental. Like California is known now for hippies and Priuses, but it used to be known for just smog. That was what it was. It was like LA was just smog, you know, and San Francisco was just smog.
Well, you know
So-
what? That was a direct result of the Columbia project.
Elaborate. Shall I pull up Columbia Project?
I can't remember if that's the name. Remind me to tell you about
Warbirds.
Periscope and why Periscope YouTube channel is the devil.
Oh yeah.
But-
All right.
So there was the most
I love
in
that.
the 50s, 60s, there was a massive water project to bring water over the Sierras and into California.
Mhm.
And it ruined the landscape and it changed everything. It helped
God.
create the Dust Bowl down south, and it helped with the smog in California because the fauna in the area were no longer eating it all up. I mean, the flora.
Interesting.
Let's do this project to divert water from California, from the Colorado, from the Mississippi or Colorado River.
This was way back in the day.
Did you ever
What
watch
years is the
Chinatown?
Chinatown?
It
drunk
was the
history?
60s.
I feel like
Did you ever watch that movie Chinatown?
they had one of those.
This is
Big
like,
Trouble in Little Chinatown.
dude.
I want to also
combine
hear about
those two movies.
Periscope.
Yeah, let's do that. But I just want to say Darth
Cool.
Call
Just doing that.
loves this movie, and he does. We've been
Hmm.
talking about this. This is kind of shout out to Call and Doug because Doug's back hurt. Hey, Doug's back hurt, and now my back hurts. And Doug, was there like a Green Mile thing?
No.
But this movie is all about California. I didn't realize how Tartarian it was because it's all about the Dust Bowl and water and the control of water. It's Tank Girl, but like a little bit more dreamy. You know what I mean? And that whole island of California thing.
Well, it's like Darkman Mad Max.
Mm.
Oh, don't even.
Darkman was the Harlem one, right? Yeah.
There is. What's the one before Mad Max?
You have a rollerball or no?
No. Wait.
Horrible.
Oh yeah, the movie. Wait, I went on a deep dive on that.
Which one? The one before Mad Max? What was it?
And yes.
can't
Alper
think of
in the
it.
chat says place where it was an island had issues.
The movie before.
Hell yeah,
Mad
California
Max,
no
that
longer
was
flooded
written
after that.
by the same.
Never
dude.
again.
Australian,
Dude, Periscope.
not
though.
Australian.
Periscope
Oh.
is an issue.
Australian
Okay.
stalls.
Do you want to hear the story of
Yeah.
Periscope?
Yeah.
Yes,
Company? The company or what?
Okay, no. Here we go.
the YouTube
we're
channel where they
seeing
have
all
all
these
the.
Yes, but we're seeing all these new
History
videos from
vids.
Periscope, and they're
they have
all
tons.
historical and they're
Every
super
day
nice.
they'll just they
you
were
want to know? You want to know the terrible truth about this?
it's government.
all
What
of
is this? The
this-
Man in High Castle from Phil K. Dick? Is it all CGI?
No. All of this would have been publicly available because the copyright had run out. And instead of us being able to use all of this for free by going to the archives, Periscope said, we'll buy it all.
Oh,
And
so
now
they own it
Periscope
now.
owns the rights and you can't use
We
any
can't
of
use
this.
Periscope.
Well,
Any-
you got to
Wow.
ask them and pay for the right to
do.
use each thing.
So they
So
they
it's-
essentially kept everything off of the free market.
Yeah.
Wow.
everything, and they have tens of thousands of videos.
They have every significant video about like uranium and
everything.
go out and mine in your backyard.
Yeah, so,
So this
like,
is
if you live in
actually-
Los Angeles and you need a job, go get a job at Periscope, because I'm pretty sure that's the like Library Covenant.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they're doing
New
conversion
Smithsonian
and restoration over there, big time.
And then
but yeah, most
suppression,
of
I
it
would
is to
guess.
keep it away from us.
And
Yes.
because it would have to run through the filter first now.
Yeah, it's the thing is you have to go through Periscope to find out what Periscope has.
So as soon as I heard about this, I nixed my
Bummer.
subscription. I don't watch.
Yeah,
them
I'm gonna
anymore.
nix that.
What do you mean
Done
take
with
the
it.
subscription? I never had a subscription.
No, it just updates
Oh,
every
I
day.
was subbed to
I
them on
watch.
the YouTube channel.
It's loud.
Oh
Very
gosh,
loud.
sorry.
I used
Where-
to be subbed to them on the
Yeah, I
YouTube
started
channel.
to
and
that.
Yeah.
I'm done with
Yeah,
it.
I see what you're saying. Well, I mean, I don't.
They have
I-
like videos every day that are.
Well,
pretty
hey, like
decent.
if it's somebody else's video that they're putting out that you can see, at least
It was
like,
the
watch it,
government,
right?
so I was
Well,
like,
no,
sweet.
Yeah.
We can't.
They got all
use
these
it
government
without
videos. They have all of
paying.
Ronald Reagan.
I mean, there's ways around it. I got into a
his
thing.
war
with Periscope
narration
once.
videos.
I got into a
True
thing with
story.
Periscope's once and I won. I got into another one once where they were sympathetic and they removed the strike, but then they sent
Okay.
me a message saying they retained all rights still. So there's
Yeah,
So
they
don't
should
do it again.
have rights to that.
no, I mean they just said don't like sell this or something, I guess is the thing.
What if I
think-
have a digital copy of the same things that Periscope has that I got on a DVD?
it's
that I
just not going to
purchased?
matter in a minute because I'll be able to take all this
Did they
stuff and put it
rebrand
through
it
the
then?
metaverse, and the metaverse will make a new animation based on its experience watching the thing, and that'll be fair use for the AI, and the AI can't own anything, so that'll be free. And like it's just all this stuff is so 20 years ago to me. I don't understand copyright law at all. It just seems so like arcane.
Yeah, I thought we could use like songs after 50 years.
That
when
was
you
funny
said
when you
no.
thought that.
No,
no.
no, there are so many. Nope.
That came
It's
up in
fair
something
use
recently.
after it hits the 50-year mark.
What was the way I learned that? What's that game, Lemurs or something? What's the game? Isn't there like a game called Lemurs for like Sega?
But I did ask and go through the
something?
pain of asking, and if you wanted to use like a song for this, you have to get permission for the time, how many times you're going to play a song. If we even wanted to make a music break right now, we'd have to get permission from the artist and the licensor, and for this particular episode, and around an estimate of the time that it would be played.
I
Yes,
mean,
but it used to
It's
be like
ridiculous.
so community college I used to go to back in the day would play old films from 12 to 4 p.m. in this little theater, and they had to pay based on the price of admission into their area. So they would pay like $60 in royalties a month just to do this. But it's trickier with new media because you don't know how many views it's going to get, how someone will attempt to monetize it and use it to grow their own brand. And so the copyright infringement has been wanton because they don't know how much they want to take from you. So now they're reticent to even give you the rights.
yeah.
It's a big issue. And fuck them all.
But that's like the thing is like, so right now, some of these are into public
PH.
domain. Yeah. Yeah. Like Phuket, like or
Yes.
Phuket is a cool place in, right.
Okay.
So in 2024, Mickey Mouse will finally enter the public domain, sort of. You see, not the version from Fantasia where he has pupils, but just like the black-eyed mouse.
So it's a
Steamboat
different
Willie.
Mickey
Steamboat Willie is going to be free though. So Steamboat,
to use for
Willie.
what? You're gonna just remake cartoons?
dude,
with
Steamboat
these
Willie is going to
figures?
go to Tartaria with us. Like Steamboat
Oh,
Willie is
That's
gonna be-
Steamboat Willie Mouse.
Yeah. I'm going to have a whole thing where he's like, "Hi kids, we love history. Did you know about the mud flood?" It's going to be all over. And they can't
Should do
stop.
sock puppets with that. That'd be great too.
It's going to be a
Okay.
big part of it.
I've been following a few trends that have seemed to pop up out of nowhere.
By the way, I own not this mouse, and nobody but Disney
Okay.
will get to own this mouse.
I want to hear the trends, Nathan. I'm
All right.
focused. Back in.
So we used to go to Sovereign Citizen. People were talking about that. Then state nationals became a thing, and then foreign state nationals became a thing, and now we're seeing Moorish nationals. Have you heard of this?
Oh,
Yeah,
They
yeah.
have actually dug it up, and Victor and Mike and I used to talk about this about 3 years ago, about how the Moors were in America in such numbers
Totally.
that they were a nation.
This
and
came up
nobody
last
believed us.
tonight. Brittany and I were talking about the Algonquins when we went to Bermuda. we met a guy who was
Mhm.
talking about the Algonquin connection to the Moorish Empire, and he's clearly Moor and Algonquin and Bermudese and from Connecticut all at the same time. So we're like, okay.
Yeah. So basically, the Moors were in Indiana, which is really strange because if you look at the U.S. map, when when all of the U.S. was called Virginia, Indiana sits where Georgia currently sits. They actually made a state called Indiana later.
So it's
But
like Poland. They just moved it on a map. All right.
exactly. So the original Indiana sits right around where Georgia sits, and the famous, every nation has a plant and every nation has a animal. Well, the cherry tree was the symbol of the Moor, and so we actually get the myth of George Washington chopping down a cherry tree because he was the one who cut the Moors' power.
Yeah, there's
He
actually
destroyed the Moors.
This isn't even a conspiracy theory. Like History Channel will admit this. The first country to recognize the United States was Morocco, and their flag at the time, the Moroccan flag, was called the cherry tree. It is the Moorish flag, the ancient Moorish symbol, which is from vertical. When you look down at a tree, it looks like a pentagram from an aerial view, which is all the funnier because it's like looking from an aerial view, like a star fort. Like that's the
You
cherry
started
tree.
a holiday about this.
So basically,
I do want to do George Washington Day on February 18th every year, where people leave like little hemp joints and cherries everywhere and dollar bills. I think that would be like an
Hell yeah.
all-American
deliver
holiday,
cherries.
ooh, we'll
Yeah.
have a good
Remember
cherry
your holiday.
smash.
We
Yeah.
could start it this year.
Now, so
I do it every year.
the importance of that story was for this story. The Moorish nation was actually recognized within the nascent U.S. nation as their own sovereign nation within American lands.
And there's some hoteps, and I'm for it.
So this is actually what people are getting down on lately. You see a lot of Moors because they don't want to be called black. Black is a color. It's a construct, they say. They don't want to be called African Americans. They're not from Africa. They don't want to be called anything but Moors. They're Moorish Americans. And so the newest version of state, national, or sovereign individual is this type of man, the Moor in America, who is claiming Moorish citizenship within America. And legally it's checking out.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
so
working.
the
So
one
it's a huge movement now.
The one thing, so what do you think on that? Like George Washington Black. I mean, not necessarily black, but was partially black, right? Have you heard the idea that he was maybe like an eighth black? What do you think?
Well, they call that an octoroon, and that's confirmed with Benjamin Franklin. He's an octoroon.
I'm pretty convinced Ben Franklin. Yeah, let's look at Ben Franklin.
Look at my face. I'm an octoroon.
Let's pull out everybody who's colorblind, try to judge this guy. What do you think? What do you look?
My octoroon.
Oh, he's pitch black. Yeah, you're totally black. Wait, get in the light. No, Nathan. I can't see him.
There
I need some light in his face. Oh, there you go. Yeah. You're muted, but even for a muted guy, you kind of look like you got. Yeah,
I'm 1/8 by blood. It doesn't matter.
Are you gonna do mine? Because I can.
I was just thinking he looks like Ben Franklin is all.
I'm just kidding. I'm not.
Hold on, there we go. I've got some light on me.
Yeah, right.
I don't.
Now,
I feel very pasty.
the whole point of this is they don't care about race. It's about nationality.
Right.
You could say ethnicity, sure, but like, who made black? I mean, we can look at the Baconian Rebellion if you want to talk about who, called people black versus white.
Sure. Ben Franklin was totally an octoroon. Come on. And it's cool. And so that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. But then they got this whole thing where they're dealing with British people that were dealing with Spain and Arab, and they got racist.
Oh, everything.
British
everything.
But
they created this type of idea. British people were no more racist than anybody else. They enslaved the Irish for how long? For 430 years.
Word, right. But
so I mean, everybody was fucking everybody. It's not a race thing, it's a power thing. Plain and simple. The lie right now is that we believe it's a race thing when it's still a power thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, so, I mean, that's crazy, the cherry tree, though, because the story goes that, you cannot tell a lie, and then you cut down the cherry tree. Some people associate it with the idea that he rejected Morocco and alliance to helping Morocco, because Morocco was like, yeah, we'll help you out, and then you can help us against these Brits who are coming down here after the post Crusades, trying to get a new crusade going on in North Africa. Like, we want to keep this ourselves. maybe America, you guys have some interest in helping us if we help you. And then
Nope.
we did not do that.
We
did them
didn't.
dirty.
And you know what we did? We gave aid to Britain in the Boer Wars. And Lincoln famously, his party ran as the Union Party, so they didn't have to run as a Democrat or Republican back when they were new versions of the Whigs. But Lincoln actually wanted the rest of the Moors out of the nation for good. He was a separatist. He wanted to send them all to South America.
So like, what's the deal? Like, why you got these guys who are, partially black, persons of color, and then they're trying to, because clearly Ben Franklin did the same thing. He was trying to get Nordic immigrants and refugees.
They, honestly, I don't know.
It doesn't make.
Well, you never know. I mean, like it could be.
I'd have to think about it. I have some
Could be-
wild ideas, but
Yeah,
I
mean the
can't say
destruction.
no.
Who is really coming?
What's it called? Refugees
boats.
from Sweden, 1900s. If you look at like the amount of Scandinavian immigrants to the United States, it was like something like, it was a percentage. It was like 20 to 30% of every, like 1 out of 5 people left all of Scandinavia. So it would have been, and those are the engineers and the fishermen, and
Seems a little resetty.
yeah, so a lot of really important people just
A shuffling of
depopulated.
people.
So I mean, all because they were given advantage. So it might have been about destroying Scandinavia.
Were there a lot of children mostly?
Well, if you can enact the Great Shuffle, why wouldn't you? I mean, that's one of your oldest videos before I even met you talking about the Great Shuffle. And it continues. It continues. So Kanye West has a song about a certain type of people in Paris. And everyone thinks that Paris is this lovely city, still caught in the throes of romantic enlightenment. And they go there and it's nasty. Why? Because it's different. Because the population shuffle's almost complete.
Right. And also all the buildings have like these giant Adidas posters over the murals, so you can't even see the 13th century.
Everything is
But
a commercial.
They're cleaning it up, that's what they tell you.
No, they barely eat. You can barely even appreciate Sacré-Cœur when you go. No way. No, but I remember telling about this about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. The back to Africa idea, because Africa is greening again. And I don't mean Africa like the Americas Africa. I mean Ethiopia on the old maps, which is Africa today. Yeah, everybody's going back there. So they have to shuffle those indigenous people, the current people, out of Africa so that they can waltz in when the time is right.
Snow Africa.
Is that why they say
Sahara.
Africa's being like breaking apart?
No, but
It's not
it
breaking it apart.
seems-
They're just shipping everyone out so they alone can move in.
this is the Sahara, and
volcanic
this
scene.
year it had more snow than last year, and then it didn't snow before that for 4 years, and then it snowed for 8, and it's just becoming more frequent until now it's snowing literally every year's third time in 40 years, right? And now it's just like every time it's but officially less than 1 inch, but it's like now snow is common, and that will change everything, because when that starts to saturate, it'll allow for plants to grow, and then that'll create root structures. So within 40 years,
I wonder
Sahara is
how
not going
they
to be what it
just
was.
got
That's
that
done.
there. There's probably
No,
no
and that
geoengineering
is
involved at all.
that is a millennial transition that goes
Climate
back and
change.
forth. We have records for all of that.
Wafi.
420 Kyle says Paris, aka Low Mogadishu.
The Wafi is referred to faithful, trustworthy, or loyal, but it also has to do with water that returns, right? So there's water places, the wadis. Let me see if I find this. The wadi, a valley or gully or stream bed in northern Africa or southwest Asia that remains dry except during the rainy season. So these wadis are the connections to the old river systems, like the Tamanrasset. And the Tamanrasset ran across Egypt. Let's see if I can find a map of Egypt. Basically going across all of Egypt from the west to east, and in the areas in the center where it's the driest now, those would have been the mega Chad and the mega Congo is here,
And the
Mega
Giga
Chad's
Chad.
and the Giga Chad, of course.
There's Aklo.
And now we got some nano Chads, which is like a thing. This is a whole tangent that I feel like going on. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk shirtless.
What?
Yeah.
Oh
well,
yeah, because they're both robots.
Well, so it's more about
I thought you meant together.
muscles. That's not Jeff Bezos. That was like The Rock
That's
or
Vin
something.
Diesel.
This
What
is
the-
like
what
the
is the
picture of
deal,
them working
dog?
out
That
or
doesn't make
something. I don't really want to see
Jeff
it.
Bezos shirtless. No, you'll be fine.
Vin
You'll be fine.
Bezos.
Let me make the point that this dude's ripped. Okay, this is super ripped, and he's a nerd, right? He's a super nerd, but he's super ripped. And I don't care what hormone treatments and work he's
That
doing.
works out.
Today's nerd is super ripped. Then let's type in like Elon Musk shirtless. This guy, even more human growth hormone. But this is not Elon. What is the deal?
There's
Elon
no
Musk
pictures.
muscles.
What's
got people
happening
working
now?
on this.
Yeah, no one even wants to let this happen. No, I mean you'll hear me out. You'll hear me out. This
He's
makes
got
sense.
people making sure there's not.
This is
any
how you
photos of
muddy the
him
waters. You make a
online.
ton of memes about yourself.
We got to reface
And then-
Elon Musk shirtless.
And then so
somebody
okay, you get the
else
point. He's super Chad. He's super
clearly
ripped. He's a nerd. He's a nerd. He's got super. Let's how about this? Just for some perspective. Like remember what he used to look like when he was younger. Okay, this is what
Yeah,
this is
less
what
hair.
normal Americans look
When he
like
was
now.
younger.
Like this is what's happened to innocent people
father
that used to look like that.
is so
No.
sick.
Alpha
Yeah, oh, he's with his
male
sister.
celebrity. Yeah, sick in the bad way. Alpha male celebrities
That's what I mean.
2020.
And
Yeah, I thought you meant like a
Rich,
skater, but like these are the alpha males now. These skinny, like veganized, like lacking in hormones, wearing eyeshadow characters.
Effeminate males.
Right. So the thing is, most people, it's drained from the muscles, drained from the hormones, out of the water supply. When you go to the gym, I think they've got some weird HEPA filter that's just sucking all the hormones out of the air so that nobody can get any of that either or something.
Could be
But
the
then you've got-
soy.
But then you've got these billionaires who run everything, and they can't be like that. So you've got these like billionaires who are like billionaire alpha males, because they're Elon Musk. I don't know, like they're the only ones allowed to be ripped anymore. I think there's some
You
sort
think
of
Elon Musk is ripped?
he is. Didn't you see the picture of him? I don't know where it is.
No,
This is-
he looks lately like
Elon
he's put on a
Musk.
few pounds.
Yeah, Elon Musk looks like
He looks like he's
somebody
been eating
pasted Val Kilmer's
cheeseburgers.
fat body on him.
Yeah, he's had
he has a lot of
pictures
intestines
lately.
because he has all that HGH growth. There it is. Look at so he's got huge muscle, but then he's also his organs are growing inside of him because he's
What
taking
is-
human growth hormone,
Yeah,
which is what
That's
it makes you grow that big.
Men who dose their organs
He could
swell
be
like that, and they get that
sucking
barrel
in.
chest right around 50. That's not
Barrel
sucking
chest,
in,
bro.
That's swollen organs.
Barrel chest.
no.
Yep,
That
barrel
right there
chest.
with Rogan,
Yeah.
you see his ribs are out. That's actually a jujitsu thing. Your ribs tear from the fascia,
The training.
keeping them held together. Yeah, they pop out.
Dear
And
God.
the organ swelling, if you were to see swelling in his heart, he would have a bigger left side of his rib cage. That right there, that fat photo is his diaphragm.
Jesus.
He's actually puffed his diaphragm to suck in his lower gut. He doesn't normally look like that.
Wow,
You just got to learn fitness.
man.
And
Well,
Tom
okay.
Segura
Different
on a bear's
reasons
body.
It's happening. to
Wait, yep.
different people.
That's pretty scary. Well, okay,
Yeah,
that was a
that's-
huge digression.
I
I'm
don't-
sorry.
I
But my
don't-
thought is the same. I think they're taking away the hormones from the average individuals and only letting billionaires have enough hormones to be
Gotcha.
grown-ups.
Well, of
But
course, they
grown-ups used
fill
to
you
be-
with pseudoestrogen and phytoestrogen and true estrogen from the day of your birth. There's a bunch of what do they call them? Femboys. You
Mhm.
go on you can go on a femboy forum and just type how to be a femboy, and they tell you one of the first things is to increase your soy and estrogen consumption.
Ooh,
It is
soy is-
crazy. These femboys know the secrets that the fitness world or the health
Right.
world pretends don't exist.
well, so there's another thing there here because, like, if you're getting so much estrogen that you have a lot of hormones still, I mean, maybe there's something to be said about that because these soy boys, like, they can stay young looking for a decade longer, right? There's something about that, and there's something about the progesterone.
That might be because they're usually like vegan.
Yeah, they might be using lotion, but I mean, there's
Don't
something to be
be.
said about hormones because then you think about the Wachowski siblings, sisters at this point. Sorry, and they're both
The
They're-
Switchowskis.
the switch out. I shouldn't laugh, but I mean, it's
Well, they both
interesting,
switch. That's not derogatory. It's a
right?
fact.
No, yeah, but there's also like there's a thing called being a switch, and that's a whole different thing. But
Yeah.
let's look at Larry. Let's look at Larry. I don't mean to dead name anybody, but Larry Wachowski in the old days, right? And compare Larry Wachowski to now.
Well, that's
I
an
mean,
improvement.
It's a fact. I mean, the hormones have worked. They function in the body. There's a thing there, and it's maybe youthful in a sense because it keeps the body producing more.
Well, no,
cells,
the only thing,
correct telomere.
the only thing that estrogen would do in those levels, and estrogen is only a part of the cocktail for that.
I mean, they're also at an age where they're reducing testosterone because at 40, they're
yes,
reducing.
indeed. But the thing is, even in females, estrogen in too high levels causes such dysfunction and mental dysphoria that it acts as a poison. And pseudoestrogen is a poison.
Dude, Cloud Atlas wasn't that bad. Just kidding. No, it was. But, no, but it's true. There's like there's a level there where hormones are essentially connected to
just
feelings like
This just
drugs.
doesn't just affect males though. If you think about all the women that are
No,
this is
women,
about
women
humans.
spike on
This is
estrogen.
about-
This is crazy.
This is
how the
about your
birth
body on
control
hormones.
affects them.
Humans on hormones.
Oh,
right
okay.
now.
Birth control is an insane thing, and I'm convinced
Nuts.
that itself is
ladies
should
look
not
into
exist.
it. Look into it.
Ladies look into it.
When you type in humans on hormones, you're going to get steroids, which is interesting. But I was actually more interested to look into like all the different kinds of emotional hormones, melatonins, even, in your brain. There's a lot of important connections to hormones. And
Wait. Let's tie this back because Melissa in the chat says we're focusing on things that maybe upset or warp the sense of the world.
Exactly. That's the plan. But yeah.
It's true though.
No, but we can circle back because like what were you gonna go with there, Nathan?
Oh, I forgot. We're so deep now. I forgot.
Oh, that's brutal.
Sorry, I threw the conversation.
I mean, I think it's interesting. This is the thing. Like, I'm not really. I'm not like, oh, you shouldn't do things ever.
Yeah,
I'm like more of a curious person.
But if most females like they'll get if they start the pill, say when they're 14, some people have irregular menstrual cycles, and from that point on until they go through menopause, they take a hormone.
Right.
And so
It's
that's
been
who they
decades
will
altering their
become
biochemistry.
from the age of 14 till menopause, where they go through all these other changes. And for that whole time period, they were, dosing on hormones that didn't really realize how they were
PFAS chemicals.
affecting their body,
yeah,
or their mood or emotions.
Say it again, Nathan.
Talk about PFAS chemicals.
What's PFAS chemicals? PFAS.
What? I guess I'll talk about PFAS chemicals. So I've got my eyes on the chat, as always. I'm watching you guys because I've been in too many chats where nobody watches. PFAS chemicals are insane. And if you're unaware, Andres, you probably already know. But PFAS found in umbilical cords in recent findings, supposedly, certainly. Glyphosate is the most famous example of a PFAS chemical. These do not break down in nature. They are there forever. The propagation of PFAS chemicals around the world is unending, and it shows no signs of slowing. In fact, it's increasing.
Are you trying to tell me that these chemicals aren't biodegradable and they might have some cancer-causing effects like those Californian ads that I had to look at all the time?
They don't go nowhere, bro.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's funny because everyone's always like, man, California just thinks everything causes cancer. But the funny thing is, California is where silicone wafers, surfboards, electric batteries, radios, televisions, military equipment, NASA, the original Velcro, microwaves, all that was invented. And then, yeah, a lot of that stuff was made, at least in the 50s, refrigerators from Sears Roebuck with hydrofluorocarbons. Yeah. Not good for you.
Not good.
I mean, this could definitely warp your sense of the world and make you uncomfortable too. So PFAS is no good.
Well, maybe we should end with some like positive like film or like series recommendations for your viewers.
What's something positive that you
I
can
don't
think of?
know. What do people want to hear about? We've been kind of bleak.
Bleak. I don't know about that. I mean,
It's formative, I guess.
Well, these are just interesting things people should know about
Yeah,
if they
it's
don't
true.
know about it.
to look into it. I had
It's
a
all
dental
pretty interesting.
hygienist tell me fluoride was safe because it's in the water. The other day, it was kind of comical. They put it in the water, it's safe. Doesn't. So look into that too. If you're just watching the show for the first time, I'd say. Otherwise, most of the people here probably already know much.
You're like radio voice. Everybody, just a little bit of
I'm-
Brittany ASMR right now.
Right here? Am I whispering?
A little bit of Brittany.
Sorry, I'll
ASMR.
be louder.
Do
I
the,
don't want to interrupt.
No, I kind of like it.
people.
It sounds kind of cool. I like it, but
I'm being a little passive.
but I'm trying to think of something that's positive that's going on in the world that we can give people.
I don't know. I just learned a lot about Steve Jobs. This is so.
This is not really positive, but it's an interesting story that I've been kind of thinking about recently. So you guys know about the hacker that everyone's been freaking out about recently. So a couple days ago, GTA 6 had a leak where some dude found a social engineering vulnerability in an employee. He was like, I tricked you into giving me your Slack password. So he got into the Slack and then he was able to download all kinds of cool stuff. And there's all this great Grand Theft Auto 6 footage of like naked characters running around sideways in a like weird Gestalt cube because they don't have a level yet. It's like, guys, and, you know, not only were the characters naked, it's like the game, it was like Rockstar was naked. So they felt really vulnerable and they didn't want people to see that. But they were also, they claimed to be the same people that had that had committed another hack recently. What was the other one? They breached NVIDIA, Microsoft, and Samsung the week before and got into all of their stuff. So they're just kind of on this crazy joyride. And yeah, basically London, 17-year-old in Oxfordshire, cool guy, was arrested, and it's going to be a bummer because, you know, their future is going to be taken away from them. They're probably going to have to be like a hacker for the government, and that's not
Can't touch
super
a computer for a
optimistic.
set amount of time,
I don't know about that,
depending on their violations.
I mean, there could be.
I wonder Stellium didn't have to go through that part of not being able to touch a computer.
Well, that was before they had laws like that. That was the thing. He made that possible.
We'll find out when this book comes out.
What about Zero Hedge?
Okay.
Have you read Alex Jones's book yet, Nathan?
Wait a sec. No,
You know, I don't even want to get into this because, like, I
Okay,
shouldn't be the
wait.
one to tell you this, but the person who ghost wrote that book is that's all I'm gonna say.
Is autistic.
Nah, I probably said too much already.
I know
But it's
if
pretty
nobody else
good.
does. Okay.
The book?
Yeah. It's a
You
pretty
have
good
a
plot
super
twist.
chat.
Oh yeah, let me check that out. We should be looking at super chats. Stefan, we
can't
love
see
you.
this
He
yet.
says
I got
Steamboat
eyes in
Willie
chat.
as guest next season, and the Mud Flood is his narrative device to explain why nobody taught them about the people who ushered our current future into existence, one transistor at a time. Nathan, by the way, Stefan has got a lot of good data on Gisara, Nasara, and Tartaria in general. So we should do a thing with Stefan if you got time. Maybe next week we'll do a thing.
Nice,
He's actually
yeah,
coming
for
on
sure.
tomorrow. I don't know if you're free tomorrow. You could also join that. But
I may be.
yes. All right. Well, you're welcome. There were other super chats which have already been disappeared, which is just like, that's horrible. But the person who asked said something about.
Maybe just say what your super chat was in the basic chat. And
No, it's
Nathan
okay.
can-
I saw that someone said something about Periscope. I want to say thank you for that. I got one from Katie. Katie, that was awesome. Thank you as well.
Have you been watching anything good on Netflix or Amazon, Nathan? Are you still doing super chats?
I'm
Sorry,
just checking it
I
out.
can't see.
It's all right though.
I didn't ask Nathan. I thought since
Yeah,
you
yeah.
watch
Nathan,
stuff,
have you been
but-
watching any movies that are any good?
Why would I
Anything to
watch
recommend?
Netflix?
Well, not Netflix.
We saw
There's
a couple
no
things
reason.
on
what was
there
the
was okay.
Netflix
To be
thing?
fair,
So
Netflix bought like
from-
3 shows from like Germany and from Russia that I saw that were actually pretty good.
So
Oh,
there are some standalones that Netflix bought that I can get behind.
right, that's
The
okay,
old
yeah.
German show Dark came out a couple of years ago. 3. Dark was very good. It deals with timelines, and Raymond G. Stanley Jr. just sent a super chat.
Oh, there we go. Raymond G. Happy Saturday. It's nice seeing y'all doing your thing. I enjoy the talk. Andres. RoboCop has a big gun. Johnny 5, not so much. I got 5 on RoboCop. Well, did you watch Short Circuit 2, or did you only see Short Circuit 1? And even if you
Number
did,
Because
5
the
is
canon.
alive.
yeah, because if you saw Short Circuit 1, you should know he has he's from NORAD in Colorado. So his ability to call in an airstrike shouldn't be questioned. Like the things that he can do to control the war games, like he's part of the battalion. But even then, if you've seen
Wait.
Short Circuit 2, the gang or whatever, they kill Johnny number 5, but he comes back from the dead and
In
he's like,
Short Circuit 2?
yeah, and he's like full crazy and he's got like a mohawk and
He's a bad guy?
I don't want to go spoiler alert,
Wait,
but no,
wait,
he's not a
wait.
bad guy. He gets really upset and he wants his citizenship back. You know what I mean?
So no, that movie like was traumatizing. Do they really decommission him at the end?
Was
Don't
good
they
for
try
that.
and save him?
No, they
No
do
spoilers.
not. They do not decommission him, but you know his whole
I, like,
goal. His whole
remember
goal is to be
crying.
recognized as an American citizen,
That he's alive.
and he lives in New York.
I remember his number.
Yeah,
5.
it's a great movie.
is
I think
alive.
Short Circuit 2 is even better than the first one, personally.
I think I never got down on those
I don't
technology
remember.
movies right then because of things like Lawnmower Man. But if we can talk about Running Man for a
Yeah,
second.
yeah. Running Man's always fun. Let me pull that up.
And
Running
we can
Man.
eventually talk about
So-
Mad Max.
The 80s,
We should remake it with a chick and call it Running Ma'am, and it would just be like a lady in the 80s with like a business suit.
The 80s had this strange habit of all of their blockbusters dipping into incredible near future dystopias. And it's something we've got away from recently. We all try to say distant future, but these all envision our urban and metropolitan areas becoming hellscapes.
I mean, I felt like Running Man was just about things that had happened 5 or 6 years earlier, but they were trying to make it seem like it was everybody's future. So they're like, this is coming. What? So go, no, but explain Running Man. Like, I mean, not everyone's seen it.
So basically, this gentleman works for the law. Something happens, he gets set up, and he finds himself on the other side of the law in a future where they gamify criminality. And so he is put through a gauntlet, and it's on a TV show, and it's called Running Man. And he has to get through this gladiator, futuristic, escape from New York, escape from LA, Mad Max style of rollerball.
But also the media, right? Like the media is all.
Well, it's a television gamification of prison sentences,
And the
which
deep fake,
they
too.
did rehash in Black Mirror using what? Biochemical syringes full of anterior grade memory loss.
That's fun.
So that's been updated.
Yeah, I mean, Running Man's like the most relatable movie because this happens to people every day. They try to make sure that the world sees you a certain way. Anytime this happened to any number of celebrities, that a few had a cult following, and then the millions of people to first hear about them from the mainstream media. Like, wait, who's this person? They're like, oh, this person, they did this horrible thing, right? Like, what's the story? He tried to save some kids, and they make it look like he killed a bunch of kids or something, right?
Yeah, they killed
And
him
then they
anyway, and
deepfaked
they
him, too.
scapegoated him.
Like, didn't they?
They
Right.
did deep fake him. I forgot
It's the
about
first
that.
deep fake.
Yeah, he's a deep faked, and then they
Early
deep faked the
deep
lady too. Yeah, we should rewatch that. It's been a minute.
That Total Recall is another one that's right around the time.
What about Total Recall?
It's just another one of those 80s futuristic.
I think that
weird-ass-
Total Recall is definitely about the 50s. It's about what's
That's a
really going
fun
on in
movie,
America
but
all the time.
it's a fun movie, but
very
We
short.
Can Remember It For You Wholesale is a way better read than this.
And Brainwashed or Brainstorm. Brainstorm with Christopher Walken is a good virtual reality.
So Philip K. Dick's We Can
Film.
Remember It For You Wholesale. I did not read this one. Tell us about it.
It's short.
Hmm.
It's basically the same as Total Recall. It's just not Hollywooded. It is the story from Philip K. Dick. Like Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? His novella became Blade Runner, which is okay, but Blade Runner is an action version of a thoughtful movie or a thoughtful story. Just like Ben Affleck, his movie or his show Paycheck where they Nicolas Caged his really good short story, 2 minutes.
Dude, Paycheck.
So
wasn't
they've made
bad.
movies out
Nicolas
of all this.
Caging a
Paycheck was
positive or negative
terrible.
thing?
Paycheck was terrible. They
I mean,
took
just only
all the
because it
Philip
was
K.
a
Dick
movie with
stuff
Ben
and
Affleck in
ruined
it. But
Nicolas Caging, is that to be
what did we
so-
just see?
the
Nick
movie
Cage
was-
2 minutes? Was it?
The movie was next, and it was this garbage movie based only a little
Next.
bit on the original story, which was called 2 Minutes, about a creature. There's a humanoid creature covered in golden down who exudes
Yeah, she is.
a
Wait, what?
musky pheromone.
Oh, that's
and
her.
his ear. No. This
Okay.
being is basically
Oh,
perfect
Jennifer.
in the book. and the being
Jennifer
can see
Bale.
Jennifer Beal. No.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. Jessica Biel could be like the covered in
Jessica.
golden down, and she's got all that.
No,
weird
no,
hormones
no,
and
no.
pheromones.
In the
She's not
story,
one.
in the story, there's a perfect being who can see into the future just a little bit, and they actually can't kill it, and it escapes. And
Jesus.
they
No.
turn they turn
No.
this prescience into this Nicolas Cage movie that has nothing to do with the story.
Well, what was the Nick Cage movie we just saw recently about killing Osama bin Laden? See that one? Oh, wait.
Is that the
Brittany's
one
trying
where
to-
he plays himself?
Wait. Hold on. Brittany.
Show it
Oh,
everybody.
man.
Brittany.
There's some really bad ones.
Brittany, show them the
Hold
pillow.
on, I have to move this.
Okay.
Hi.
She's got this cool
Hi,
pillow.
everyone. It's like, yeah, you never guess what it is, but Surprise.
It's actually Nicolas Cage
Everyone
made out of sequins and
really all
bananas.
it's needed. It's
pretty
my
good.
banana thing. So
But I mean, there was the Nick Cage Osama bin Laden picture. But what was that movie? Army of One? Is that what it's called? Army of One?
Sounds terrible.
it was really bad.
Russell Brand. It's
I
pretty
think you
bad, but it's
said
a true
Nicolas
story.
Cage isn't doing bad
True,
movies. And then
Nick
all of a
Cage never
sudden
does a
there's
bad movie.
like
He's never done bad movies.
10 really bad ones.
Look,
So
here's the bottom line. It's a true story about
Oh,
this
yeah.
like neurotic Jewish, like East Coastie, who is kind of like a Larry David kind of guy. And then he, in real life, he got like in schizophrenic break and started hearing messages from God. And God, in this movie played by Russell Brand, but it was God, and God was telling him like he has to go to the caves in Afghanistan, or is it Afghanistan?
Oh
or
yeah, what a
Pakistan?
weird movie.
And kill
that
Osama
was.
bin Laden. And so he went there, and then he starts hunting Osama bin Laden. And the CIA are like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "I'm on a mission from God to kill Osama bin Laden." And they're like, "You got to get out of here. You're gonna ruin our whole thing. If you're here, like they're not gonna, you know what I mean? Like we gotta get lost." And then as time goes on, it's like, "You guys are screwing it up. You haven't been able to do it. They're clearly in cahoots with him. That's what's going on, isn't it?" And they're all like more and more like, "Who is this guy? He must be something." And I thought it was as terrible as a movie it was. It was a very important thing for people to know happened. But there was this guy who messed with the Osama bin Laden thing. And as soon as he got extradited or whatever happened, like the CIA kicked him out and made him go back to America. Because he got in on a paraglider from Israel too, which is the other funny thing.
Okay.
But they said as soon as he got home, then on TV they were like, "We found Osama bin Laden, we killed him, we spread his ashes at sea." He's like, "No way. This is
Didn't
totally a
believe it.
lie to cover up what I was trying to prove and do down there. And the entire government is in on it." And it was just like you're like, "Oh yeah, sure." But Nicolas Cage movie about it, probably
Yes.
true.
Now back, you were going to recommend that one thing on Netflix, which was the German Berlin
Oh, that's right. $1 billion
GPS
code.
story.
All
Billion-dollar
right.
code. It's pretty
He
cool.
follows
Million.
TPS reports.
Was this the TPS
No,
reports?
it was GPS, the Global Positioning System satellite.
Toronto Police. That's for MK Canada. We can do
Oh.
that. But so $1 billion code, true story about the Art Plus Com company. Art Plus Com doesn't even have a wiki. Look at that. Oh, they do on So there you go. The Deutsch wiki. Let's translate the page. So this company, long story short, East Berlin, 89, the fall of the wall, 88. They got Deutsche Telekom to give them money. Plus they'd hacked a Onyx Silicon Graphics computer, which was, what they used to make the Terminator 2 movie graphics. Terminator 2 Onyx Silicon Graphics.
It's kind
The
of
new
like a
Terminator is going
Silicon
to be on
fight,
that Unreal
Silicon
Engine.
Valley.
This computer cost
Type show.
$100,000, and so KGB was trying to smuggle money out, and it ended up getting lost on the wire transfer, and they took it and they bought this awesome computer, and they said, hey, we're going to build this meta system. By the way, Raymond sends us ladies in the 80s wearing business suits. I'm all about it. Yes, Raymond, I like that. I like that look. 87 to 89. Anyway,
Shoulder pads.
That's all I think about every day. But the Onyx computer system, they were like, we'll take a bunch of maps and then we'll make a 3D model of it, and you'll be able to like zoom in and out, and we'll call it Terra Vision. It was like Tartaria maps before Google stole it from them. And they hacked NASA and stole NASA's images, and it's the only reason we have all that is because Terra Nova stole it. But then Google stole it from them at Burning Man in 96 or 94 or something like that. They told some guy, and he told some friend, told Yahoo, told Google, and they could never win the court case against Google in 2011 when they stole their product, basically. But it was financed by Deutsche Telekom, so there should have been some way to do it. Anyway, Chaos Computer Club.
And there's a series on it now.
But
no spoiler alerts, but if you're into that thing, you should watch it.
Yeah, if you like that kind of thing. And it's on Netflix. And what was crazy, I was like, oh man, I can't watch it tonight. I'll watch it tomorrow because it's in German. And then all of a sudden it was in Italian, French, Spanish, and English, dubbed by the actors, because they're Germans who can speak like 6 languages anyway.
Halt and Catch Fire is another one for tech heads if they're people that like internet and history.
I don't know if anyone likes tech stuff as much as I do.
They're watching your show, they probably do.
Halt and Catch Fire
mentioned in the chat.
Primer's way
ago.
Primer, I'll make sure that if you haven't seen Primer, that's the movie I'd actually recommend.
I don't think I've seen Primer.
We'll watch Primer.
That movie still has one of the biggest profit margins of any movie ever made.
Well, when you make a movie for $7,000, I mean, like he got his parents involved, and he was a math teacher. He used a photo camera to like do all the storyboard frames before he made it. It's a fantastic movie.
Time travel?
All about time travel and CERN technique time travel, specifically. CERN. The idea of creating a time box that can get you back to a reset state. But Halt and Catch Fire is good because every season they jump like 5 or 10 years. So they went from like competing with the original Macintosh to competing with Unix to competing with the internet to competing with Google. And like it's an interesting, like they're constantly a company that fails in every .com boom through history, essentially, which I like for some reason. I don't know. Yeah. Well, is there anything you wanted to cover before we jump off? This has been pretty good. I think we got 2 hours deep.
Hodgepodge.
No, I think I'm good.
Guys, I think we're going to be trying to do this more and doing more of a Tartaria-centric thing, looking at history and science and everything. So thank you for joining us. I hope we do it again next week if you have time. And then
same time.
Yeah.
And they can send you fan mail too.
Legit. Another super chat, Stefan. Terawatt hour hydroelectric equals hydroelectric etymology of water, which I like the idea of that. Stefan would be down. I think we can talk about if he's got some room, we can get a convo going tomorrow too. So peace, guys. Much
peace
love.
Out. Peace out.
The world is very different now. For man holds in his mortal hand the power to abolish all forms of human poverty and all forms of human life.
It begins a very special time of the year for us. It's the time of peace and reflection. One thing we should all be thankful for is that we live in America, where we have the freedom to change things and the opportunity to grow.
I, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, do solemnly swear
that you will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States
And will, to the best of your ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
So help
God.